That's it. Pack it up. We all gotta use generative AI now. Stephen Marche said so. Wait, who's Stephen Marche? So this guy's been working in writing way longer than I have. He was publishing books all the way back in 2005. But the one from the headline is this one, Death of an Author, published in 2023 under a pseudonym. And according to Wikipedia, the cover art, the blurb, and 95% of the text was created with generative AI, and received such raving reviews as halfway readable and not awful, which I guess is reason enough to say all writers need to be using it now. It's going great, guys. Don't worry about it. And before you say, oh, this is rage bait or whatever, I don't really care. You and I both know that even if he's not being serious, there are people out there peddling these points in full earnestness. So either way, they're definitely worth discussing. So after explaining that elementary school children recognize AI slop as slop, he hits us with this statistic and his interpretation of it. 86% of college students use AI regularly, which means that 14% are lying to survey takers. Because nothing says I have a strong argument better than bad faith dismissal of survey data. And the thing is, there is a valuable discussion to have about this statistic, about why students aren't engaging with classwork and what teachers can do to make it more engaging. But we're not going to have that conversation. We're just going to dismiss 14% of students as liars, obviously. AI tools are too good not to use. Oh, sorry, it's not awful. Truly the highest standard of quality. He then talks about how most writers only see two ways of moving forward, either don't use AI at all, or pretend not to use it, or automate your writing practice entirely. And I halfway agree with this point here, that people who automate their writing forget that art is a human practice made by people for people. You can't offload that to a machine. But when you claim that writers who choose not to use AI are only doing so because they are retrograde and fearful, I'm gonna have to call you on that. Because I'm a writer who refuses to use AI, and it's not because I'm retrograde or fearful. It's because AI doesn't add anything of value to my writing process. It's a tool trying to solve problems I don't have, and it would actively detract from the enjoyment I get from writing. So why would I use it? Marche then goes on to talk about how language learning models are this huge advancement in technology because it uses language rather than numbers, and language can express things that numbers can't. He says at the core of this new magic is language. Language now is power. Excuse me, language now is power? Language has always been power. Language is how we transfer thoughts from one mind to another. It's how we motivate people to stand for righteous causes or abandon evil ones. It's how civilizations are built and destroyed. To say that language has power now because of some sophisticated predictive tech software is to ignore literally all of recorded human history. We've never needed a computer to tell us the pen is mightier than the sword, and I think a sword would make real short work of the data centers these AI tools need to function. Therefore, the pen is mightier than your language learning model. That's a transitive property joke made by man. But now we get to the fun part, where Marche starts to destroy his own argument. This will take a minute, so stick with me. See, he comes back to these AI-addicted college kids and argues that because LLMs are good at completing formulaic tasks, it makes sense for college kids to have LLMs compose formulaic essays. He then says that mastery of the banal is a skill that has no purpose anymore because it can be automated. And he doesn't really explain what he means by the banal, but since LLMs are good at formulaic tasks, I assume he means things like word choice, sentence composition, story structure, and grammar. Then he compares the use of AI in writing spaces with the use of AI training bots in chess. And he talks about this guy in particular who wasn't allowed to use these AI training bots until he'd already mastered the basics, grew his creativity, and developed good habits. And Marche says this was a winning strategy for this particular chess player. Interesting. So what you're saying is that writers can use AI more effectively if they first master the basics. Basics like word choice, sentence composition, story structure, and grammar? Formulaic tasks you think should be handed off to AI? Things one might call banal and that according to you serve no purpose? Setting aside the many other issues with generative AI, maybe this argument makes sense if you're talking about people like Marche. People with decades of experience in the industry. People who have enough mastery of the craft to know when an LLM is leading them astray. Well, in theory, I guess. But he's framed this argument around college students who he believes, with no evidence other than his assumption, are all using generative AI instead of mastering the basics. Like I said, there's a very real conversation to have here about why students are choosing convenience over mastery and what teachers can do about it. And I don't really have an answer for this question, but I'm pretty confident encouraging LLM use is not it. And the icing on the cake? Marche himself says that using AI to write death of an author was not any easier than doing the work himself. Yeah, according to the guy who actually tried it, writing with AI is not a shortcut to good writing. And the way many people, especially students, are using it circumvents the very process that would allow them to become great writers. But somehow I'm the one who's retrograde and fearful for not wanting to use it. Okay.